Sonja Brunner, and I'm running for Santa Cruz City Council.
Many Santa Cruz residents have been affected by the pandemic with concerns around childcare, unemployment, and more. As a member of the City Council, what will you bring to the COVID-19 response and reopening plans?
Regarding the COVID-19 impacts, currently in response, there are significant impacts and economic impacts. And really, we need to keep people in their homes and take measures that protect public safety and health in compliance with federal law. And really focus on everyone's well-being, safety, and lives. So exploring kind of evidence-based solutions. And I really am big, at least in my downtown world, I love looking at what other downtowns are doing. So, for the city, researching what other cities are doing. We don't have to necessarily invent the wheel. I think frequent communications and information and engagement with community, what the specific needs are. I know in my downtown world, even though I work with all the businesses, each business has very specific and different needs. I can't assume a blanket solution for everyone. So I would apply that same approach for my city council seat. I think our healthcare systems are stressed and businesses are closing. So we really need to make sure that we're supporting our small local business community that creates jobs and vibrant economy and stimulates the economy. We can't have any more workers losing their jobs. And some of that looks like federal and state support and funding, grants, and anything that can support that. So an economic recovery council or anything that can create protections to keep people employed, to keep people in their homes, creating a task force to support businesses, providing additional capital or loan options, working with community partners. These are all just some of the ideas that I definitely would like to explore, and I'm open to input as well. I think there's a lot of ideas and creative solutions, and I think it's important to invest in all the viability to the city, and to think of long term too for our city to be healthy. I just think there's a lot of different needs, and really the first step will be identifying all the needs and engaging to understand how we can best help.
Amid the current racial justice movement at the national and local level, what response would you like to see the council take?
It's a very broad topic, and there's a lot of layers to that. I'm very committed to explore ways to create more equitable policies, programs, and initiatives in general. For me personally, as a multicultural woman of color, I'm committed to that goal of dismantling any systemic racism and really exploring what we need to do. I've been engaged with the newly formed Santa Cruz County Black Coalition for Justice and Racial Equity, and we have formed smaller work groups on different topics that we're focusing on, everything from education to civic engagement to policing, etc. And doing the work, committing to creating inclusive and equitable solutions for our community. I think overall it's important to look at hiring practices and any even basic forms, and making sure that our city is communicating and supporting to our BIPOC community, and celebrating different ethnic holidays and cultures, and really committing to anti-racist policies, and really making a dedication of value and commitment. And even there's so many ideas, even looking at any ties to slavery, for example. A lot of work has been done in other cities to change street names or remove statues or rename buildings. And, these are all things to look at and to understand how we can do better.
What is one more thing you want voters to know about your platform or goals for Santa Cruz County?
For me, housing is a really big one. We're in an affordability crisis. We're in desperate need of more housing, more and more affordable housing, both options that people can actually pay for with local wages earned. So, some of the data, um, about percentage of household income that is spent on housing. So 30% of your household income should be on housing, 30% or less. If it's more, then you're considered cost burden. And anyone who spends more than 50% is considered severely burdened. And that falls into a lot of people in Santa Cruz. I think we're, the third most expensive city. So rent growth has even outpaced income growth in Santa Cruz. And a couple of years ago, I think the data was showing that renter households in Santa Cruz County were considered cost burden. So even among the middle income households, housing consumes a larger share than just 20 years ago. And it's harder to make it, and it's harder. I have so many friends that are people I know that work 2 and 3 jobs just to make rent or ends meet and have multiple streams of income, and that's stressful and it's not sustainable. The housing shortage is negatively impacting the health and stability of our community, and for example, my son is 25, and the whole early 20s age group, they need to be able to afford, as well as the other end of, we have a whole demographic of seniors on fixed incomes that are increasingly struggling to make ends meet. I've been speaking to many of them as well. And then we have teachers, we have social workers, we have people in the middle income that can't afford to live in the community they work in. And more people are kind of moving to outskirts. And for me, it's a very personal, and I really want to work on how the city, can do better in conjunction with private and public partnerships, in conjunction with county and state and federal funding. I think there's a lot of opportunities. I raised my son as a single mom, and I, worked and went to San Jose State, and I don't think I would have been able to do that had I not been eligible and living in low income public housing. And I was 8 years in that program, and it took me 6 years on a wait list to even get into that program. And currently the wait list isn't even open. So there's a lot of things that we need to improve on. For me, sitting on the Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, I've learned a lot of where the obstacles are, where the challenges are, and how we can improve. I have very specific bullet points and ideas that you can find on my website. That's definitely something I want to work on. There's little things, even with UCSC. There's a lot of talk about UCSC taking some accountability and housing more students on campus and creating more housing to accommodate their students, but also supporting housing and mixed use projects in our commercial zones, and where it's walkable to services and accessible to transportation. And expanding on the city of Santa Cruz has a housing element, a housing blueprint, kind of a template, and using that to expand on and to grow from. And there's already existing affordable housing units, and making sure we retain those, and say yes to more developments and more creative ways that we can have housing that everyone can afford. And it ties in with income too. So there's a lot that goes into that.